Alrighty then. I want to try to answer a question from Gregory Battle, codenamed Kobayashi Maru. He's a gentleman that I have played Vega Conflict with for several years. And he asked me the question, honestly, how do you get through the dark times? And I responded to him with a question that he never came back and answered. I said, what do you call a dark time? See, for everybody, all the different times that everybody lives, if you try to compare my dark time, or what I would consider a dark time, to your dark time, you wouldn't be able to understand, nor would I be able to understand clearly the situation in which you became you. And I think for simplification, the thing that I have done to get through dark times in general is I know it's temporary, and I know that my thoughts become things. So if I'm in a dark time, I seek responsibility for that dark time, and then I seek to change that dark time with my thoughts. That's probably a little oversimplified. So let me try to go through this last dark time in my life in a little more detail. Prior to my stroke, as you know, I was a very successful owner-operator. Had a thriving company. I was the provider for my family, and life was good. I loved who I was pulling for. I loved the people that I was delivering for. It was great. But life, stress, smoking, and just the overall way that I am wired, I'm one of the 20%ers that does 80% of the work, without question. So a combination of all that stuff, you know, just was too much for my body to handle. And it gave everything it could, but it couldn't keep it up. Now, I say my body because I acknowledge the fact that my body and my mind are two different things. I'm not one being. Of the body. This is my vessel that contains my consciousness, my mind. So, as I was driving, I was north of Waco on 35. I think we were just going into or coming out of a construction zone, and I had changed from the right lane into the left lane because I was going to pass this car, because I needed to get my ass back up here to get another load on to deliver the next day. As soon as I changed into the lanes, in an instant, everything changed. My eyes crossed, and it was great, difficult, but at 70 miles an hour, I was able to get the truck back over to the right lane and then off on the exit and then well off the access road to be no hindrance to anybody and no danger. And then I got, let's see, my head was killing me. I couldn't figure out what was going on. The 20% of me kept saying, man, you just need to go ahead and keep driving, get on up the road and get to a service station or closer to a city where you could find a hospital or something. And of course, I couldn't. And so I tried to get out and figure out what was going on. I was so confused. I started to lose track of where I was, what was going on. I couldn't stand right. I kept falling over. I couldn't walk right. I kept stumbling. I couldn't think straight. My eyes were crossed. I was dizzy as hell. My head was just hammering in pain. So, being 100 miles or so, I guess, away from home, I did the only thing that I could think to do, and that was, you're tired, lay down, and when you wake up, your eyes will be okay. I laid down, and I remember hearing my phone ring. I couldn't find my phone. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't move really. It was really bad. And the phone would ring again, and I tried to get it, and I couldn't even find the phone. I didn't know where I was. And then the next thing I remember actually is a DPS officer banging on my door, at my head, actually, the door that my head was at, to wake me up or something. Of course, now I've lost the ability to understand speech and to speak clearly, apparently, because I couldn't understand the officer, and whatever it was I was saying, he wasn't understanding me. So, bottom line, the ambulance got called. He accused me of drinking. I got taken to the hospital. I don't remember going to the hospital. I don't remember going to the emergency room. The next thing I remember, they asked me about a glass of water. I did a video on that. And then I remember my wife at my foot of the bed, briefly, her pretty smile. And then, it was 3 days later, and I started to realize what was going on and where I was at. I was at a hospital, and okay. That's a pretty dark time, would you not say? When I got home from the hospital a week later, I wept. I sat in my chair in my room and I cried. Because I'm not Superman. And I have my limits. And I've never liked limits. So I tried to push through them. My body said no. But I still had my mind. And I still believed that whatever I perceived up in here and thought about and concentrated on and closed my eyes and just visualized it as being there now and feeling good about it, eventually it came. And this is true in anything that's gone on in my life. It has actually came by my own efforts of thought and concentration. Remember the circles of influence. You only have control over yourself. You influence everybody else or have no control or influence over anybody. So, I guess when you're in a dark time, just remember it's temporary, and your thoughts and feelings and concentrations prior to this dark time assisted you to get to the dark time. So take responsibility for the dark time and then work to change it with your thoughts, feelings, and concentrations. Your concentrations and feeling good about what you see in your head, and bring that into your life instead of the dark time. I hope that helps, Greg. Peace.